Hey, 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 what do you say, everyone? Welcome to Till Time with Hope. I am the host, Hope Aguilar. And again, this is September, Ovarian Cancer Awareness Month. And I am pleased, maybe more honored, to have the wonderful Shannon Routh, like South. Did I get that right, Shannon?
You did, Routh like
Okay.
South.
Look, I'm so 5 stars for me, please. And she is coming out of North Carolina, and Shannon, thank you for being on the show and being willing to take your time, your precious time, and be my guest today.
Thank you for having me, Hope.
Oh, how could I not? We kicked it off so great. Way back, y'all. We met way back in 2015, which is insane, right?
So
9
insane.
years. 9 years.
2015.
It's amazing. It's amazing
Yeah,
that just glory to God that we are both still here to be here
100%.
doing this. And when I say we kicked it off, y'all, we kicked it off. We met at a conference in San Diego, the beautiful San Diego, which was sponsored by Okra. Is that correct, Shannon?
Mhm, mhm.
What is
Ovarian
Okra?
Cancer Research Alliance,
Ovarian
back when
Cancer
they
Research.
did in-person conferences, that's we met there, and it was amazing.
It was. And I met you, I met your husband. We chatted at the dinner table and we just continued to chat and chat and chat. And you're a hoot. You were a hoot then, you're a hoot now.
Those connections are so amazing that you can make in those anytime you can do something in person, the connections that you make are just, oh my gosh, they're amazing.
Agreed, 100%. And I miss them and you miss them. And I know that's what we said before
Yes.
we started.
We would not even know each other.
Wouldn't have met.
We might know each other virtually, but not like, you know, we
Yeah,
wouldn't be
that
knee slapping it, you know what I'm saying?
not that human connection, that
Yes.
in-person, live human connection,
Mhm.
and we both agree. There's nothing wrong with having things online and through virtual, the virtual world, but it just doesn't have that same touch as in person.
100%.
And so, yeah, I'm, very grateful that I met you, and even though I have not seen the wonderful Shannon in 9 years in person, which we're hoping to remedy that,
Yes.
I did get to meet her in person, and I do keep up with her via, social media, specifically with Facebook, and that is why I also wanted to have you come on and be my guest, Shannon, because I have kept up with you, and I've seen and I see, even now, even today, one of your posts that's so exciting, so encouraging, so inspiring, and that is, like, a big reason I wanted to bring you on and
Mhm.
represent North Carolina and the things that
Thank
you were
you.
doing there. Absolutely.
Thank you.
So without further ado, dun, dun, dun. Miss Shannon, please tell the world a little bit of your story, please.
Well, I am an ovarian cancer survivor, specifically diagnosed with clear cell carcinoma. I was diagnosed a week ago, 15 years ago. So in 2009, about the same time that this is airing, I was diagnosed. Prior to my diagnosis, I'd had some symptoms, but I also had a history of polycystic ovarian syndrome, PCOS. And so my ovaries just developed cysts, and I was having a lot of pain in that area. I went on a trip to France and was having a lot of pain, but I totally thought it was because I was traveling, eating the rich food, and just being out of my norm. When I came back, the pain was continued, and it just kept getting worse and worse. And so I went and they did a pelvic examination, followed by a transvaginal ultrasound, and found that I did have an enlarged cyst. We're going to call it a cyst. And in fact, that's what they called it at the beginning, but it was a tumor. Um, but it was an enlarged cyst, and they just scheduled surgery to remove that before it burst. And they did a CA 125 blood test. And for me, I was slightly elevated, but nothing. I mean, I think I was in like the mid 30s. So if I don't know what the range is, but if it's 35, I was like 38, so I was not, off the charts. but enough to where they were like, you know what, this combination. I had a very proactive gynecologist at the time, so she set me up with a GYN oncologist or a gynecologic oncologist, if you will. And I had never heard that terminology before. I was 32 years old, just shy of my 3-year wedding anniversary. And I thought I was just going in for surgery to remove a cyst. And now all of a sudden I'm going to a specialist. And I remember asking someone, like, I don't even know what is this oncologist? And they're like, oh, that's a cancer doctor. I was like, whoa, 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 whoa. So they kind of laid out some scenarios for me. And I remember at the beginning, they had said the scenarios ranged. There were 3 different scenarios, and it ranged from removal of the cyst, maybe the ovary or one of the 2 ovaries, all the way to waking up with a colostomy bag and full hysterectomy, and I wasn't going to know what any of it was until I woke up. And so I remembered waking up from surgery and asking the nurse, "Do I still have an ovary?" Because if I had an ovary, that meant I could still have kids naturally. And she said, "You do." And so I thought, "Phew, okay, it wasn't that bad. I can deal with whatever." Well, 5 days into, I was still at the hospital, but I was being prepared to be released. And my doctor came in, and he basically said that pathology had come back, and I had a rare and aggressive form, which I said clear cell carcinoma, and I was going to need a radical hysterectomy. And so, prior to going into the hospital, I'd had some bladder issues. I thought was a UTI, and turns out it was the tumor laying on my bladder. And so I spent the night prior to one of my appointments, and prior to my first surgery. And I'd spent probably 2 nights in the hospital. The first night trying to get into the ER with that pain from what I thought was a UTI. And because I waited so long, my bladder was so stretched out that I had to wear a portable catheter. And I only mention that because my first surgery was delayed to let my bladder heal enough for me to have the first surgery. So now I'm 5 days post op getting this news. And I felt like at that moment, what I heard him say, all he said was, "We need to do a radical hysterectomy, and that you have this type of cancer." But what I heard him say was, "You have cancer, you're going to die, you can't have kids." And I just remembered boo-hooing, just that belly deep in your soul crying. Um, and, um, and then I was like, okay, I need to get myself together for this. And, it was the same protocol. I did 6 rounds of, carbo and Taxol. Had some delays due to counts and stuff through treatment. On my 3rd chemotherapy, I tend to be pretty optimistic. On my third, I think I don't know if it was immediately, but within I'd say a few weeks of diagnosis, I started looking. Okay, I had done some volunteer work with Susan G. Komen and Autism Speaks, and so I started thinking, okay, well, what's in my area? Where can I plug in? Where can I get involved? And we looked into different things in the community, and nothing really fit. There was barely anything at all. First of all, and what there was, I went to a support group, and while the conversations were important for those who were in attendance, I remember it being a lot about death and preparation for death. And I was not ready to enter into that conversation. Again, 32, just shy of my 3-year wedding anniversary. I am like full of spit, fire, and vinegar. I'm ready to like take it on. And so I didn't really find help there. And so it was roughly, I don't know, my 3rd chemotherapy, and sleepless nights. And someone had given me some advice that if you are having sleepless nights, to just wake up and write everything down that's in do a brain dump, basically, just to get it out of your head, to clear your mind so you can rest. And that's what I did. I just felt like at that moment I had a question for God, like, what is it you want from me? Why me, but not in a poor pitiful me? Why me? But why me? What am I supposed
Right.
to do with this? And I audibly heard him say, maybe you can't find what you're looking for because you're supposed to create it. And
Wow.
so I thought, "Oh, okay." So I started writing down everything that I was missing or that I felt like I needed. I had met many different cancer survivors, but one was an ovarian cancer survivor, and she was 95. So I felt like, in relation to me, she was a great grandmother, great grandmother. She got that right, and she wasn't diagnosed until her 90s. So it was really hard to relate. And the other, I met, lung cancer, breast cancer, liver cancer, brain cancer, in all various ages. The person who had brain cancer was kind of a near in my age group, but all still able to reproduce, all of those things. And I needed to relate to someone that had just, you know, had that same kind of diagnosis, not only of cancer, but being thrust into menopause at 32,
Yes.
and all the challenges that come alongside that, being so young and young in my marriage. And that is an ongoing challenge for me, and I think would resonate with a lot of other younger women. But third chemo, maybe, whatever, writing down the ideas, and I just came up with the idea for our now nonprofit. We were going to call it at the beginning Teal Chick, and then but I wanted to spell it CHIC. And but then everyone kept mispronouncing it, and I knew enough in the business world to know that if people can't pronounce your business, it's probably not a great business name. So I asked my friends and family. I knew I didn't want to name it after myself specifically, because what if I'm dead and gone and people are like, the Shannon Routh Foundation, like, who is Shannon? And it was just like, I wanted everyone to be able to relate. I didn't want it to be, I didn't want to be on a pedestal. I wanted to be for anybody. And so my husband suggested Diva. I don't know where he gets that from, but and then the color teal for the color of ovarian cancer awareness, just like pink is for breast. So we came up and settled with Teal Diva, and we made it singular because really ideally it's morphed into a sisterhood, but at the beginning it was just like, you're a Teal Diva, I'm a Teal Diva. If you've been diagnosed with ovarian cancer or gynecologic cancer, you are a Teal Diva.
Absolutely.
And so that's kind of where that the singular aspect of it came from. And where we started was an organization for women under 40, because I felt like that was something not being addressed. As I was, aging and growing, I thought, oh gosh, I'm going to grow out of my own demographic. And so we did open it to service women of any age. We do some things that are geared towards that younger demographic. But we've morphed into a sisterhood, the Teal Diva Sisterhood. We have a pretty decent online presence. We have beefed up some of our online virtual programs. We do a lot through North and South Carolina, helping patients while they're active in treatment with different needs. Some of it might be financial, or some of it might be working in their lawn, or doing some interior exterior painting, just little roof repairs, just little things like that. That cancer's an interruption. It doesn't knock on the door politely and say, "Excuse me, you got a minute." It barges in, and it's like a bull in a china shop. And so we just kind of come alongside someone and try to look at the support, the financial need, yes, but also the mental and emotional needs that nobody's talking about. I know I'm just like going on and on, but
No, no,
um
no. I mean,
okay,
this is what
okay.
the audience needs to hear. I mean, what are you as a survivor, thriver, warrior, diva doing,
Yeah,
like you said,
yes.
with
So
in the third treatment?
I feel like your last day of treatment. So here's what I think. When you're initially being diagnosed, it feels like and you're given your timeline, it feels like you are, those, if you ever have that vision where you're standing somewhere or watching a movie and that person's standing somewhere and all of a sudden the vision in front of them becomes like this long tunnel that
Mm,
just grows and that's
mhm,
how I feel like it feels when I was diagnosed, just this long tunnel that seems never ending of appointments and like it feels like the finish line for treatment is so far away. And so whenever I meet with new patients, new diagnosed patients, I always say I know it doesn't seem like it right now, but at some point you're going to blink and you're going to be on treatment number 6 or if it's treatment number 8 for you or whatever it is, I just feel like you blink and you're there. And now there's so many different next steps. I can only speak to my next steps, but it just felt like I remember it feeling like an eternity. And then what I would say is just start, put one foot in front of the other, just start, focus on the day that you're in. Don't focus on what that last day looks like or the time before that. Just focus on this treatment and what today brings. Focus on the challenges of each day, not tomorrow. Just stay in the day that you're in. Also recommend that if you are confined to your bed for one day because you're just so tired and you don't have it in you, that's okay. I think of it like, okay, it's like winning wars and battles, right? You want to win the war and today's a battle. And sometimes cancer wins the battle, but the focus is winning the overall war, right? So I would wake up and say, okay, I did nothing today, I stayed in the bed, and I'd be like, all right, cancer, you got today, but you're not going to get tomorrow. I would wake up the next day and I would give it a go, and maybe cancer would win the next day too, but I would get up the next day and say, nope, 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 not today for sure. And sometimes winning a battle is simply getting up, taking a shower, or simple as brushing your teeth, checking your mail, just doing a lap around your house. Sometimes simple things, that is winning the battle for the day. So just kind of reprioritizing what that looks like for you, and not making it this massive production of, I've really got to go out and accomplish all these things to be this, just listening to your body and pouring into yourself, and sometimes that's rest. So, but a part of why I was starting to tell you that is that last day when you finally get there, you have anticipated this, you're excited, and you're just like, I can't even believe it's here. All of a sudden, some people like myself, you're hit with all this emotion like, oh, wait a minute. Am I still excited about this day? Like, I have become accustomed to knowing these people. And all of a sudden, people being nurses and doctors, people you didn't know 6 months ago, and now they're an extension of your family. You talk to them more than you do some of your own family and friends. And now that constant is about to go away. And you're just like, oh, wait a minute. I don't know how I feel about that. And you're excited, but then you're really nervous and really anxious. And it is just like this little hurricane of emotions. And so a lot of where Teal Diva tries to come in is that after cancer. So what do you do next? Where do we go from here? And I felt like there's just not a whole lot of people touching in on that, on where do we go from here. And no one in our organization are licensed therapists. We have somebody might have a PhD, but not in therapy. We have PhDs in our own stories and the things that have happened to us, and what we can offer and what we can do is hop online or do something and look at what that looks like, and you have to figure it out for you, but we can share stories and we can come together and talk about different things and see what it looks like for you, but only you can figure that out. That's weird, but I mean, it's true. Like, I can't tell you what
no,
your
that
next
makes
steps are.
right, we can help you and guide you, and but you have to, of course, make that choice of what exactly you need from us and how we can help you.
Right.
Maybe that's what it is. I mean, you just listening to you, Shannon, I'm just like, excuse me, I just like just so into everything you're saying, and I love everything about it, and if it's okay, I'm gonna go kind of a little bit backwards to
Okay.
some of the most amazing things, because every story is different. The way I was diagnosed, I waited to the very last minute, looked 9 months pregnant, and it was really, really scary, but I'm still here. You had these already issues. I mean, I had a fibroid cyst when I was in the military, and there's a little backstory of that 10 years ago, stuff like that, but you, at the moment, you said you went to France, is that correct?
It is,
A
yes.
and you went so when you were in France, you were already starting to have these symptoms. So what was the I guess, my question would be like, so from when you were starting to get some of those more serious symptoms, what were those serious symptoms before you actually went to and found out about the gynecological?
Girl, I will tell you, I was having issues probably a year to 2 years leading up to. And had the doctor diagnosed me with anything related to cervical cancer, I'd have been like, "Aha, okay." Ovarian threw me for a loop because I'd never even heard of it. But I had a lot of they had done various things on my cervix because I kept having irregular pap smears. I just number of things, you name it, and they had it, and or they tested. Just everything was inconclusive or came back negative, and so I was dealing with stuff. And the interim of that is when I was diagnosed with PCOS, and so I kind of started to get some answers, but still there was something off, right? And
And you didn't
it
know
became
even about ovarian cancer to know what to
never,
look out for.
not one time did anyone bring up the words ovarian and cancer. In fact, cancer wasn't even, cervical cancer wasn't talked about, nothing. And in fact, I did change doctors in the midst of that 2 years. I was going to an older gentleman before, and he told me, I don't really share this part too much, but he told me that I had gonorrhea and chlamydia.
Oh my
And I
god.
was like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Those are some big words there, bud. And I said, how would I have gotten that? I'm married. He goes, ask your husband. Ain't
What?
that something? I said, okay. And so I went and got a new doctor and filed a complaint against him.
Good.
And new doctor, younger female, and she was like, oh my God. And the fact I did not have those diseases, but it just was very interesting that,
He
very
just kind of
dissonant.
just defaulted to, "Oh, nothing's wrong with you, you just got sexually transmitted
And I'm sure
infections."
your husband's cheating on you. So
Yeah.
it was great, so,
Holy
but
cow.
yeah, that to take it all back, that's kinda how it started, and it just really amped up while I was traveling, and really when I got back, I honestly felt like it was gas pain, and I was
Mhm.
like, "I am not going to the ER for them to tell me that I have gas pain." But there was a day where we were doing yard work and I had pain that was so sharp and so intense, it sent me to my knees. Just, I mean, instantaneous, just fell to my knees. And
In the
my
abdomen
husband,
area? Was it in the
yeah,
abdomen?
yeah.
Mm.
And so sharp and so intense. And my husband was like, "Girl, we need to go to the doctor." And so I made an appointment, and they were able to get me in pretty quickly. But again, I had this was not like brand new news. We were trying to kind of on this track. And when they did the pelvic examination for that, the pain then was so intense that I was in tears. And my doctor was like, "This is not normal. Let's do the transvaginal ultrasound." Out of the ultrasound was the enlarged cyst. I already had the PCOS diagnosis. So she's like, this cyst is giving you trouble. Let's do surgery. Let's get it out.
So,
Okay.
just to make sure I understand, they still had not concluded that
No,
this could possibly be ovarian cancer.
never. And not one time was that terminology ever mentioned. Ever.
Just reminds us of why we do what we're doing, right?
Mm-hmm.
May I ask,
Yes.
Shannon, did you have any of those others, like the lack of appetite, feeling full, diarrhea, constipation? Were any of those present?
Let let me just tell you something, Hope. What woman doesn't diet on a month and wishes for a lack of appetite? Like, I always think like eating less and feeling, fuller, like we all diet every month, or at least many of us do, and we're like, woohoo, goal,
So we don't really consciously acknowledge that there might be something else going on. I think
Right.
that's part of it, right?
Right, right, and then, if you've got your menstrual cycle and you're bloated, it's my time of the month,
Mhm.
or, I just feel like the symptoms that we have to go
Can
off of
mask.
are so easily dismissed through just normal female life. Here's what I tell, women.
Well, especially real quick, especially if you have no clue about what ovarian cancer is and what
Right.
could be the signs. Sorry to interrupt.
No, whenever I tell women, when I'm speaking in different avenues, I'll kind of say, there's not a screening test. And first of all, people are like, well, that no, no, I get a Pap smear, and I'm like, well, that is great, but that is for testing for cervical cancer, not for ovarian. And so it doesn't sink in for everyone, but for those who where it does sink in, they were like, well, wait a minute, how do you know? And they're looking at me with deer in the headline, and I'm just like, well, the best thing that I can say is and to me is best advice ever. You know your body better than anybody. You and God know your body better than anybody. You know what it feels like when you have your menstrual cycle. You know where you cramp up, if you get a headache. You know exactly how your body functions. You've lived inside your body all your life. So my advice is when you feel something different, and that something different is more intense, and that intensity and different is consistent over a 2 to 3 month time period, you need to start advocating for yourself. You need to start reaching out. You need to start talking and bringing it up, and really kind of pushing.
No, that's great because you hit it on the nail. Doctors, nobody knows your body, pardon me, other than yourself. And if we realistically think about when you had it, when we were going through it, we knew something was wrong. My
Mhm.
problem was I had denial. I didn't know what the symptoms were, and I didn't wanna believe anything was wrong, and that also is where's my headspace? I just don't wanna admit that there's something wrong, and that's a big thing too, that a lot of women are just so caught up in
Yeah.
taking care of everybody and
Yeah, but
everything
themselves.
but themselves.
Well, too, mine led to what I thought was a UTI, and I genuinely could not go to the bathroom, and that is when my bloating was so intense, and I was really in desperate need of that catheter. And I had to wear a portable catheter, like I said, for several weeks after that. But that tumor was laying on my body. So it was the symptoms were getting to be where they could not be ignored. I mean, pain
Oh, yeah.
shooting so severely it's knocking me to my knees. Now I'm not able to go to the bathroom. It was to a point where it you couldn't ignore it.
And it sounded like things were compounded, like, because they didn't I mean, from one surgery to being like, "Okay, you got an ovary," to, "Holy cow, Shannon, we're gonna have to go in and do a radical,
Yeah.
right,
Yeah, radical
hysterectomy
hysterectomy. Yeah.
at the age of
That
what,
was
33, 32?"
32. Yeah. And right, no one talks to you about, and listen, I don't want to scare anybody because I'm grateful for my life. I am grateful for my doctor. I cannot imagine what it took for him to come into that room and tell me what he told me. When you
Right.
really sit and think about that, he did it with such compassion, but he had to deliver news to me, not only that I had cancer, I need a hysterectomy, that I was not gonna be able to have kids. Like, that's a lot.
Yeah.
That's a handful,
It's a
and,
lot to say, and it's even more to digest.
oh, yes, and in fact, I could not address the part of me not having kids, for probably 8 or 9 years. Like, I didn't like, trauma therapy, whatever, I didn't dive into that for it took me about 8 years before I could even talk about it, before I could even mention it and not bust out into tears. And I know that, everyone not everyone, but 90% of people are like, "Well, you can adopt." And I'm just saying, I do know that, and I do know that there are a lot of different avenues, but there's also something it's as simple as the choice, right? You lost your right to choose what you wanted to do. You can say all day long, "I'll do this, I do that," but in the moment when you when your right or your choice is taken from you, it just stings.
I mean, it's the
And,
gravity of the reality, right? It's the reality
mhm,
that I no longer have that option, and I'm only 32. I was 40 when I was diagnosed, right before my 41st birthday, and I felt like although I knew I wasn't involved with anybody, I didn't have plans to have children, never really thought about having children, but it is a very different thing when that choice is taken literally from you. And
right.
you were 32, and I think that's why it's so important, Shannon, that you spoke about that specifically because all cancers are horrible. We know that. Every cancer is important, every cancer is horrible, while at the same time, ovarian gynecological cancers, it's like a double whammy
I
in the
agree.
sense for people that are young enough to still have children, and now we have more and more people that are getting younger and younger with
Right.
this. That
Mhm.
how to navigate the mental, understanding of how that can be very traumatizing, and we need to talk about it, and that's one of the things you do with
Mhm.
your organization is
Here's
the
what I'd
mental.
say too, is that no one talks about that when you're medically thrust into menopause, and here's what I will say. I don't wanna scare anybody away whatsoever. Menopause is a natural thing that we're all going to go through, right? Some of us a little earlier than others, but some people, what I've heard a lot of is that they don't have a hysterectomy or they don't do preventative things, even with if they have the genetic predisposition, meaning they're genetically predisposed to different types of breast, ovarian, lench, whatever, colon cancer due to some a gene that runs in their family. And some people won't be proactive because they don't want to go through hot flashes or whatever. Guys, they have freezers and air conditioners and fans that go around your neck. Like, don't put your health at risk because you're afraid to go, through menopause at an earlier age. Now, there are challenges all day long, and I don't think that they talk about it, but I don't think it's should be scary enough to prevent you or to keep you from wanting to kind of put your health first. I would all day rather go through menopause than cancer all day long. Um,
Absolutely.
yeah, but I've heard a lot of people say, "Ooh, I don't wanna do that because," and, teach their own, right? Who am I to tell you how to live your life or whatever, but just in my own opinion, like, it's just not it's not enough for me to, like, I'm happy. I'm working through the challenges of early postmenopausal kind of lifestyle, and there are challenges and, whatever, but I'm
What's the
cancer
alternative?
free.
What's the
Right.
alternative? I mean, we're not here to scare anybody, but gosh darn it, if we have to scare you to have that advocacy get in your face and go, "You know what? Take
Yes.
care of your body, listen to your body, know the symptoms, know what ovarian cancer is." Because of that, you might get diagnosed at stage 1 because you have children. There's so many possibilities by being proactive.
I have
I
a
feel
friend who, was diagnosed at early stage 1 and did end up, going on and having a baby, and I've heard a couple stories like that, but just a good friend of mine right out of the gate, and then there's another local person that was also diagnosed and did not need chemotherapy. I just think, "Whoa,
wow.
okay, those are tho" I said, "Y'all need to share your stories left and right because you're like the poster child of what we want,"
Well,
or kind of
this
that.
is my plug for the podcast, so you bring me that person's name, and if they're willing to share
Yes,
that story, girl, that's what we want as well. Our stories are for those who don't know about it, and we hope in sharing our stories, it will bring attention to it so they will be like those other stories, and we can have more of those stories. I
right.
think that's our hope. Our hope is that we can have more of those stories
Yeah,
and less of our stories because 'cause we're the minority. I don't
yeah.
know, what were you were stage 3? What were you staged
I
at?
was stage 2B of clear cell, but someone once told me, and I don't know if it's true or not, but someone once said that being diagnosed with like a stage 2 clear cell is like being diagnosed with like a stage 3
Both
other
are,
kind
yeah.
of cancer.
Yeah, yeah, I think it was because of the severity of it.
Right, and I don't know, I try now being kind of further out, 15 years, I really try just to kind of focus on, what, I had clear cell carcinoma, and I try to where I provide my hope is I'm 15 years out and I was diagnosed with clear cell. There's different, like, social media groups, that are designated to the rare cancer time, and I see people ask questions, and I just try to, like, utilize and if someone asks me my stage, and I'll tell them, but I
Yeah,
really
and
try
and
to
and I
dive
and
in.
I just really think that, like, for the only reason I asked is because I don't think I ever asked, but
Oh!
it's just it's because it's a story, right? You
Yeah, you're
were
right, you're
that's
right.
that clear cell to be where you
Mhm,
still lost the ability to have children, where you
mhm.
still had to go through surgery, where you still had to go through chemotherapy, versus somebody who gets 1A or 1B and doesn't have to do chemo or and can still have a child. And so, yes, in that sense, the staging, the relevancy is there and
Mhm,
sometimes not as necessarily relevant, but
mhm.
also worth sharing. Mine was 3C, right? So I was close to stage 4. And also, I believe from what I read, Shannon, is the later you're staged, the more chances of reoccurrences.
I've read that too, yeah.
Mm.
Well, I think what how hopeful it is for you too, sharing your story to be 3C. There's so many people, 3C, 4, that, just feel like, "Well, I've got 3C, so, like, no hope." And I'm like,
Oh,
"Whoa,
yeah.
girl, are you kidding me?" I was just around a stage 4 BRCA2 17-year survivor, not without recurrence, but 17 years, and I just
Mhm.
find that to be amazing, and I think that, we don't know everybody's, you know, outcome or story, but don't lose hope because of a staging, right?
Right. Hope is always there. I mean, I call this Till Time with Hope, with emphasis of
I
hope,
love that.
because I could pass the torch on. When the day comes when I'm no longer here and we're still advocating, somebody can take the
Take the
steering
reins.
wheel and
Yeah,
be it's because the hope is not gone because of Hope Aguilar. That hope is still there despite Hope Aguilar perhaps not being here one day.
I
And
love
so
it.
there's that hope that with sharing those stories, and it is scary. And I think, Shannon, the reason I like to share the stories of the late stage ones is to hopefully show that it isn't a very good diagnosis. How many people have you met and I have met in this journey that unfortunately are just not here anymore
I
because
agree.
they were
Yeah,
the late stages.
yeah, a
And
lot.
we and it's just I don't even know from the first conference I went to, I can't number them anymore.
I know.
And it is daunting and it is sad and it's what motivates me to keep talking. It's what motivates you, I believe, to keep pressing forward. I mean, gosh, you got Teal Diva, baby. You got a Teal Diva organization. And when I say diva, y'all, you can't see a picture of her. We're doing audio, but you
But
can't
you
see
can
this
follow
diva.
us and you can see.
You can follow, yeah, plug in till Diva. There is way more to Shannon's story, just like there's way more to all of our stories. But it's about what Shannon is doing with her survivorship in the hopes of saving lives, helping lives. And I think that's amazing. Just to brag on your organization, it is it is being there for those who might not feel there was anybody there for them. You
Exactly.
didn't have anybody when you were diagnosed, and was it
Right.
2009, correct? There
2009.
were you were 32 in a world of
Mhm,
predominantly people who have this kind of cancer is typically gonna be older. It's not
mhm.
100% older, obviously, but
Right.
where are the people that you can relate to? Where are
Mhm,
and by the way, when you said about that support group and they were talking more about death and getting prepared for death,
mhm.
that is why I chose not to be, Shannon, when I was going through it at the beginning, especially, I chose not to be in those support groups because somebody told me it can be very sad, it can be very
Mhm.
depressing, and I knew I had to have my mind in the game,
Right.
and
Right.
talking about death and preparing for death was something I just was like, I just not gonna put
Right.
myself there, so I'm glad you
It's
spoke about that.
already emotional, right? Because you're dealing with your hormones and all these other things. It's already, in your head and you're already emotional. So now when you go adding something and I do feel like I'm a 10 on a lot of days as far as my attitude. I'm like, "Woo!"
I say
And too much
15,
for some.
girlfriend.
Yes. But I feel like that took me from a 10, like, really pumped to, like, "I'm getting through this," to, like, a 2.
Oh
And
gosh.
I feel like when you're already in it and you're already trying to kind of push yourself to be, whatever, like, great in your attitude and your spirits, and you get hit with that, it's such a like, a little reality check, and it it took me a few days to kind of recheck myself and get back to I don't even know if I ever got back to a 10. I would say
while
it
you were
it
at it.
really took me out. So but it also kind of, set me on a trail for, find creating this organization. And so to create Teal Diva, the goal, I wrote down like things that I was missing, but it took me, I set out through social media. That's how I started. Teal Diva was a page on social media, on Facebook to be exact. And my own only goal was to find one person that I could relate to. And it took me almost a year before I was able to meet face to face with someone. And to your point, she's no longer here.
Mm.
But, now there's many women that, we're able to connect with. And, I'm not going to know, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to, like, you and I connected. I try my best to, I don't know. I try my best to be a bubble of light, but that's not going to be for everybody, right? I'm maybe too much for some people, and that's okay. And so, what I love about the network that we've created, maybe I'm too much, but here's someone that's a little more on the introverted side,
Right.
and they're going to connect better with you. And hey, oh my gosh, you guys have similar diagnosis, similar staging, that kind of thing, and just kind of being that connector. I do feel like God's gifted me in that way. Um,
I can see that. I can see that.
yeah, yeah. So we host a retreat too. Teal Diva does. There's a lot of retreats out there in the U.S. that I would encourage anyone to research. Teal Diva offers a retreat. It's usually in like North or South Carolina, and I do feel like do a really good job at pairing the group up that during
Like
the interview
matching.
process. Kind of,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So if you've applied for before and haven't gotten to go yet, like keep going. It's all about the group that's going and how each kind of pair well with another, because we're creating a network for life with these ladies. Like they stay connected and bonded for,
Till sisters in the
yes, the
house.
sisterhood
Till
is
sisters
deep.
in the house.
That's right. That's right. That
May I
sisterhood's
ask,
deep.
you serve in you're in North Carolina, right? So your organization is North Carolina, but it's kind of service to the Carolinas in general, South Carolina, North Carolina,
So
or
our financial assistance is pretty much geared towards North and South Carolina, because I got we were kind of trying to throw out the national hand, but two reasons we were not successful. One, it was overwhelming, and then two, someone gave me advice. Another nonprofit gave me advice and said, how do your funders feel, your donors feel that you're helping people? I'm just making this up, but like in
sure,
Nebraska,
right.
when they're fundraising, when there are people in the Carolinas. And I just thought, oh gosh, that makes a lot of sense. And so, from a financial standpoint, through our Yes Girl program, that is North and South Carolina. But we have infusion shirts that we gift. The idea with the infusion shirt is, or the chemo shirts, is you're in treatment, and most of us, you're in this big room. You walk in, and you see pink everywhere, and nothing wrong with that whatsoever, right? But you look at it, and for me specifically, I was looking for my connection, my sister, right?
Right.
That I could relate to. And the idea behind the infusion shirt is, not only does it make it easier for you to connect if you have a port, but it's a custom teal color that we've worked on with the vendor. And the idea is it's an unspoken bond with the lady across the room, no matter age, you don't even know what she's been diagnosed with, but you know it's a gynecologic cancer. And you can say to yourself, without ever speaking one word to that person, that's my sister.
I
Oh my
love
gosh.
it. I
And
didn't
so
even know about that. I love it.
yes, there's always kind of that deeper meaning with a lot of what we do. So that's the point of the shirts. And for those who don't have the port, we offer the same color. Uh, Teal beanie. It's real soft. We had a survivor on our board that kind of helped select um, the material. And so that's kind of the point is, there's a lot of amazing organizations doing a lot, gifting, chemo items and chemo bags and boxes and all of these things. We just kind of took a little different route, because we're all about sisterhood, and we want you to know, that woman over there is my sister, and then it's a conversation starter if you want it to be.
Right. It's
Um,
either way. I mean, and I think that's what's original about it. It is
yeah,
something that you don't see and you don't hear about. And going back to the whole funders or the ones for your organization, I get that. I get that 100% because, take care of the Carolina people,
right.
while at the same time that could motivate people in Nebraska to start their own
I know.
organization
Yeah,
in
absolutely. In
North
Nebraska.
Dakota, you
Yeah,
know?
wherever. Well, I will say, so the whole point of me bringing up the infusion shirts was that those are more available
Are they?
nationwide, I guess. So you just have to go through our website and request one. And if you're a friend of someone, you can request it as you're in treatment at no charge whatsoever. But if you want to pay it forward for the next person, there is an option on the form to be able to pay for the shirt. If you whether you're in diagnosed, whether you want to or not, whether you can or whatever, you have the option to kind of make that donation, and whether it's for yourself or you're paying it forward, there is the option to do that.
Oh, that's
We also
beautiful.
have a 5K that has that more virtual option, so you can set up. We had a team out of New Orleans for many years, and they would do it all virtual, and we would ship them even some signs. We would work with them to have signage made, and then they would do, and not just there, Elizabeth City, North Carolina, which is like 6 hours from where I live.
Wow.
We would kind of work with their teams, and they would put on little 5Ks in their town with their friends and family and their quote unquote teams. So that's available nationwide. Our brand new education initiative, we're currently in the process of rolling out. It is an amazing brochure. We are partnering with an several a sorority at several universities. It's the Sigma Alpha Omega Christian sorority. Their philanthropy is ovarian cancer awareness. And so we're rolling it out through them to begin with. And then we have a few other sororities that we're working to team up with for this initiative. It's all about introducing words like ovarian, cervical, endometrial. It's about what to expect at your gynecologist appointment. And it's based on an experience that I was having as I was speaking at these universities. And that will be 13 universities that is nationwide that we're rolling that out. If you are a nonprofit listening to this, no worries. We're not trying to steal your thunder. We are asking these sorority girls to reach out within their community to find you so that they can work alongside you in your community. And if they don't have one, we obviously say, we're here for you too. But the goal
That's
is to get
amazing.
them connected in their own community with whomever's serving their community.
We don't have I mean, as an Uber driver, right? I do Uber. I'm a disabled vet who Ubers and writes and podcasts and, what else I'm trying to do. Now you gave me so many just inspiration because I talk to people at colleges. We've got the big TCU, we've got SMU, we've got my alma mater, UTD, we've got North Texas, UNT. We've got so many universities, and I've actually asked some of those women that I've talked to, "Do you guys ever do anything for cancer advocacy? Do you ever hear anything at your college?" And most of them, they say no.
Right. Let's
And I'm like,
connect.
why not?
Let's connect. We have an amazing kit that we're rolling out, an educational toolkit. We're waiting for funding to be approved, but we have an amazing toolkit that we've put together. Well, I think it's amazing, totally biased. And I'd like to roll it out to to these girls and get some feedback, and then continue. I'd love to chat with you to kind of
Absolutely.
increase that visibility into different universities.
Yeah, I'm on UT Dallas, girl. See, I needed to talk to you, and we will definitely
Yes,
talk
we'll make it
offline
happen.
more. You are just a wealth of awesomeness, a
Oh,
plethora of
thank you.
abundance of energy, and is a person that we need to continue to have in this world. And
Oh,
and I
thank
and I
you.
don't say it just because you're my guest. I say it because I've meant it. I mean
I
it.
love
I
you.
meant
Thank
it,
you
and
so
I
much.
love you too, Teal sister. And we could talk for hours and hours about all the amazing things that are going on with your organization and in the teal world. And
Yeah,
that is also that's also the hope is that we just unfortunately we're going to continue to have ovarian cancer, right?
yeah,
Until one day there's a cure. And so while we still have this cancer present, what can we do for those newly diagnosed? What can we do for those who have current? They do stuff for people with recurrences. They did something for me,
Yeah,
the Ovarian Cancer National Alliance in Dallas. I'd love to have somebody that represents them on. They actually sent me food for a week when I was going through treatment, and
amazing.
they just, socks for chemo and things like that. There are just so many organizations out there that we need to highlight and showcase.
Scarves. Have you heard of them? Hope Scarves?
I haven't. There's just so many that
Oh, they're really
you're gonna connect
cool.
me to so many, and I'm just
I
so
know.
stoked about it,
They're really
girlfriend.
cool. They do national. They may even be international, I'm not really sure, but yeah, they were, like, on CNN, they
Wow.
were featured on CNN for the work that they do, so, it's really cool, and one of the selection or the drop downs is ovarian, and they want more. It's like remember that movie, Sister of the Traveling Pants or something like that?
Mhm, mhm.
So it's kind of like that, except with scarves. So ideally, you order a scarf. Let's say I order a scarf, comes to me while I'm in treatment. I wear it. I send it back when I'm done with my story. And then let's say you are then diagnosed, you submit a request for a scarf. They would send you, and let's say I'm ovarian, you're ovarian, they're going to send you, say, like my scarf with my story. And then you're going to send it back with your story. And then, whoever, Susie
Holy
Q is
wow.
going to submit, and then she's going to get our stories with that scarf. Then she sends it back. And so ideally, you get multiple. And so they want more ovarian stories to encourage one another. So that's Hope Scarves.
Okay, I
Yeah,
will, well, I'm gonna do a plug for you. I will put your info on the details of this podcast, number 1. Then when we're offline, I'll be connected, y'all. Be ready, audience, for more people in the future to be interviewed, and the lovely Shannon to hopefully come on. If we get this going more and more and more, we can bring you back, because I know
I'd
in the
love it.
next year or 2 or 3, there's gonna be even more things you're gonna be rolling out with
I'd
that we
love
can
it.
share with the audience. Thank you for sharing your story, Shannon. I appreciate you. You continue to be cancer free. You continue to be in remission. You continue to be just an awesome person. Give my love to your husband. He's an awesome
I will.
husband. He's
I will.
amazing. I remember talking to him, and he's gone
Yes,
through some of his things. And I'm just so, I pray to God that you guys will always continue to be healthy and whole and happy and full of that laughter that you have in you. And
yes,
you remind me
girl.
of Drew Barrymore the more I talk to you.
Oh, okay, thank you, I'll take
Seriously, the
it.
whole time you were talking, guys, and, you can't see this video, but I'm looking at Shannon going, "Why she reminds me of
Oh,
somebody."
thank
Drew
you.
Barrymore, yeah.
And listen, I'm grateful that no one can see this video, but I'm grateful to see your face. I just am like
Oh, I'm so glad I was finally able to navigate this platform to figure out how to do this, but yeah, I'm grateful to see your beautiful face, and I look forward to the more beautiful things that you're doing. Is there anything that you would want to, like, leave the audience with, like, something about Ovarian Cancer Awareness Month? What is going on in the Carolinas for this month as the special month of awareness?
listen, I think it's more in the awareness piece of it all, right? Wear teal on Tuesdays, right? On Tuesdays is our day to wear teal, or wear it anytime, but be an advocate, make sure that people understand and know that, hey, listen, this disease doesn't have a screening test. There's going to be some people that listen, and some people it goes right over their head. Don't get offended. Don't get your feelings hurt if it goes right over their head. You're just a seed planter, and your seed wasn't meant to land in their garden. And that's okay. Don't get offended. Don't get, down and out about it. Just move on to the next one. And truly, don't forget to live your life. You've worked so hard for it, right? Going through treatment. Don't forget to live and enjoy even the smallest of things. And for those of you who are freaked out about losing your hair, I was totally 100%, 1000% one of those who did not embrace my hair loss. Some people can do it and they do it well. I was not one of them. But here's some advice that I got. When else can you feel the rain on your head? And so when it was raining one day and I was bald, I just went out and just let it just just let it happen. And truly, when else can you do that? And so I would just encourage you to look for the small things, celebrate everything, and just don't forget to live and live hard.
And as we said, before we started recording, live your life like my stepdad said, he thought he had more time. thought I had more time.
Oh, yes, that advice right there. I thought I had more time. I
Mm,
mean, that as soon as you said that, I was like, I thought I had more time. In fact, there was I'm sorry, but this
it's
is
okay.
important to leave folks with. There was someone who I kept trying to get her to go on these different retreats, not just mine, like retreats of their abundance, right? For cancer survivors. And I was just like, take the trip, right? And she finally was going to take the trip, and she was planning a trip to South Africa through a cancer advocacy group. And I was just like, whoa, girl, not only did you take the trip, you said yes to like international travel. I love it. And probably about 2 months before she was about to leave, her cancer came back. So then we tried to work with her doctors. Teal Diva tried to work with her doctors to plan a local national trip. And she had selected Destin, Florida. And we had rented a house, we'd gotten everything together. And then 2 days before that, she was not well enough to travel. And so when I chatted with her, she was like, my one advice that I would give people would be to take the trip.
Mm, take
Yeah.
that trip.
Yeah, and I that lives with me in just the same way as your advice too. I
Yeah,
mean, that sticks and so
and
take the trip.
get bleep done. Get shite.
Yeah.
Get shite done.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
just do it because all we have is right now. That's
Mhm.
all we have.
Mhm.
We're not guaranteed anymore, and none of us are. So,
Mhm.
especially when you're fighting something, battling something, and you said, "I'll just, I'll put it off." Don't put it off. Take that trip because we all
Yeah,
think we have
do
more
it.
time.
If you have the means to do it and the time and you feel okay, do it.
Amen. Hey, do it.
Mhm.
That's what I've done. You've seen my pictures. You said, "Where's
Yeah,
Hope?"
you're
Not
looking
"Where's
good,
Waldo?" It's "Where's Hope?" I
right?
was in so many different places.
I loved it.
Oh, and
I love and live off of people living their life. I like live vicariously. I'm like, "Oh my god, where's she at now?" And it helps me plan my trips
Right,
too.
right. It's been amazing. It's been an amazing journey. It's been almost 13 years for me, 2 recurrences later, and, we're still doing it. I'm still doing it. You're still doing it, and until we have no more breath, I believe we're gonna keep
Let's
doing
keep it
it.
going.
In
Yeah.
September, Ovarian Cancer Awareness Month, any upcoming events that you still have for your organization in September?
Yeah, there's we have a virtual 5K. Well, it's really in person, but there is a virtual aspect to it. It is the Stronger Together 5K, formerly the Teal Diva Low Country 5K. What we did was partner with two organizations, the South Carolina Ovarian Cancer Foundation and an organization called Nothing Pink. That Nothing Pink deals a lot with the genetics piece of breast and ovarian, the BRCA1, BRCA. Our goal was just to reach more women, to
Sure.
get in front of more women. The race will be in person at Johns Island County Park, and it's kind of near Kiowa, South Carolina. But there are virtual options, and that we will probably sell out of shirts. So register now. I mean, you can always support through donation, order a shirt. We do encouragement cards. You can sign up to send them. You can sign up to receive them. Yeah, I
That's
mean, so,
great.
golly, look at our calendar online. There are a lot of opportunities for you to dial in, plug in for different, like we had a Zen Tangle meditation class today that was virtual. We have a holiday bingo that is going to be coming up in December. We try to make things fun. And then there's some support groups too that are online. So we try to do a lot of fun stuff.
I love it, and she will be giving me all the links. I will be adding all the links to all of these things that she talked about because they are worth sharing, not just for people in the Carolinas, but just people in general that wanna know more about this organization, and if you have the ability to help with donations, that is always welcome to all the organizations out there. I appreciate your time. Thank you so
Thank you,
much.
Hope.
Hang around so when we disconnect online, I can say my proper adieus to you, Miss Shannon.
Okay.
Bye, y'all. Until next
Thanks for
time.
listening.
Thank you so much, Shannon. This has been Tilt Time with Hope. I am the host, Hope Aguilar. Bye bye for now. God bless and be well.